The real meaning of digital transformation for sustainable excellence is worth examining. Transformation is not about sweeping and polishing on a rigid basis. It is managing through disrupting the status quo without any regard on its effectiveness. Disruption is to create more accelerated momentum. It's to generate higher levels of performance excellence. It is to reconfigure the shape of the organizational ecosystem, and therefore it is not to preserve status quo, and it is not to protect the cumulative strength that an organization has put together, and whether the effectiveness of the current setup is something that senior executives might feel comfortable with. In a sense, disruption, it's about managing tension at a different level with a different perspective. It's the dynamic tension of moving from hard, predictable, closed system perspective to an emerging model where the organization operates more as a dynamic ecosystem, one which has legacies in terms of structure, systems, strategies, and modus operandi in terms of quality assurance systems and discipline of doing things in the right way and all the time, to an emerging model which is more fluid, reconfigurable, flexible, agile, and more like a network or a series of interdependencies and relationships that might exist within the organizational ecosystem itself, or extended externally by bringing in more collaboration and more opportunities for leveraging capabilities and building value creation capabilities of a different order. So the perpetual cycle of transformation as a mindset in the context of modern settings is the constant drive for exploring opportunities, evaluating the benefits, and executing in a manner that will shake up the present in order to exploit the opportunity available in full. The end result is to enhance and stretch at a significant level, but also is to boost the performance and accelerate the momentum of excellence by energizing, and this cycle continues to drive itself. There are two independent phenomena that need to be taken into account when considering this dynamic tension for reconfiguring and giving birth to a new organizational system that is operating as a dynamic ecosystem. At the baseline is to ask at the strategic level what are the threats, but also what are the opportunities that we can foresee in the future. By being able to shape the future using predictive means and using big data, for instance, an organization can read the future before it happens, and it can prepare itself for it. So determining the threats is what we can see in the near horizon. Assessing future opportunities is more longer term, is more visionary. This has to be followed by planning with tangible outcomes, and therefore not looking at preserving the present and solidifying what has been worked on previously, but rather to create a new plan for managing the dynamic tensions and creating new models, new opportunities, and new approaches of doing things. The engagement and the commitment of everyone concerned is critical when transforming and disrupting. So communication has several purposes, but one of the most important ones is to unleash the potential, is to enthuse, to galvanize, to motivate, and to create an unprecedented level of passion. All of this needs to take place prior to launching the program of transformation, and launching it not as a rigid structure, but rather as a dynamic initiative with constant enablement in an agile manner, and also with superseding the traditional conventional methods with digital opportunities and digital means. The second phenomenon which follows from here is the focus on efficiency in a different way. So the economics of efficiency will remain critical, but in addition is whether efficiency can be generated by doing new things with new methods, not in terms of cost, but in terms of creating additional momentum and impacting at a higher level of effectiveness and even competitiveness. It is also about the smartness in blending the resources and their utilization, and using leveraging as a means for having more with less in terms of capabilities, strengths, additional resources. In the end, this dual phenomenon is about creating additional capability for value creation, where everything becomes relative, and the ability of an organization to replenish on a constant basis the moving targets of customers' expectations and needs is reality. And adding alongside this bigger capacity for absorbing change and more capability for being competitive at a higher level. The impact generated moves away from the conventional transaction-based approach, which is product and service-based, to the emotional impact of creating, for instance, an impact on customer happiness. And this is not where this dual phenomenon stops. The constant catalysis and enrichment will guide this dynamic behavior to a higher orbits level, where enrichment and acceleration of the transformation momentum can continue unabated.